Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, yesterday we saw so many different ways in which people initiate their growth. Okay, Dravya, Yajna, and then what tapas, then what else? Yoga, then Swadhyaya, and then Jnana Yajna. Okay, so now you may think that they are all at the equal level. Okay. So this is where, in order to say that they are all very useful, but does not mean that they are all at equal level. So the next verse shows Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajnat Jnana Yajnah Parantapa Sarva Karma Khilam Partha Jnane Parisamapyate. You will chant after me. Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajnat
Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajnat
Jnana Yajnah Parantapa
Jnana Yajnah Parantapa
Sarva Karma Khilam Partha
Sarva Karma Khilam Partha
Jnane Parisamapyate.
Jnane Parisamapyate.
Says Arjuna, this discipline of knowledge is superior to religious disciplines performed with materials. Partha, all actions in its entirety get resolved in knowledge. Okay? So all these different yajnas that one performs, tapas, dravya, anything, yoga, all these are very good. Right? We are not saying that they are very bad, but he says, Shreyan Dravyamayat Yajna Jnana Yajna. Jnana Yajna Shreyan. Jnana Yajna is the best. Okay? Now, why is Jnana Yajna the best? You have to ask this question. And he gives the reason in the next verse. Every yajna that you do, okay, you do Dravya Yajna. What is Dravya Yajna? You give charities to some good causes. What will it give you?
Some unseen result.
Exactly. That means it will give you some unseen result, which is what we call punya. Okay. Now punya retains you in life of becoming or not? Yes. Okay. Because for that punya, you have to what? Come back again, right? In a given form, whether a human form or some superior form, to experience the result. Okay? So therefore, punya is like a golden chain. It keeps you bound, but what? With some pleasures. Some good kind of, that you are not too traumatized in your life. Generally, you are born to some good parents with good values or whatever. Then you have a relatively, there is no human being who has no complications in one's life. Everybody has, okay? But relatively you feel, today Neeru was describing somebody who you feel is blessed, who has proper attitudes, who lives well with a meaning, is a good professional and helps many people. So you find people who are so engaged. We meet many people who are a very good human being, right? And they all, why is somebody given that kind of a birth? There is a lot of punya, right? So this is where he says that all these different things, you do tapas, vak tapas. What is vak tapas? When you speak, you are careful about what you say and how you say it. Okay? It will give you what? When you speak properly without hurting anyone, it will give you what?
Relationships.
It will give you relationships. That means it will give you punya in form of what?
Good people.
Good people around you. Exactly. Every action that you do, see, Dravya Yajna may give you a lot of wealth because you have parted with your wealth. These are all punyas manifesting in what? Different manner. Okay? Because you have chosen one yajna over the other. Okay? So that yajna will give you some pleasant experiences with reference to that given aspect. Okay? You do a lot of charities. What? Some people are born very wealthy and they are what we call born with golden spoon in the terms of what? Wealth. Okay? Then you have done some tapas with reference to your kaya, body. What will happen?
Good physique.
Exactly. So even the effort, the direction in which it is made, it will give you punya in that direction. Okay? Then you have vak tapas. As she says, that people will naturally like you because you don't say things which are hurtful, which are unnecessary, which waste people's time. You are considerate, you are available for listening to them because you don't have such a pressure of talking. This is vak tapas. This is all what vak tapas accomplishes. What to say, when to listen, when to talk, all this is vak tapas. So it will give you what? Pleasant experiences in terms of what? The people around you. What kind of people are there and you'll be blessed with it. Because you please people, what is the experience you are going to get? People will also show love and care for you. Okay? So this is how every action, any yajna yoga, what can yoga do? Yoga also has punya. Don't think that, oh, I've done all my life yoga, so now it's all a waste. Not at all. It will give you punya. What kind of punya it will give you?
Body and mind.
Yeah, exactly. A prepared body and mind. That is so required for you to study anything or to do anything. Healthy body and mind is a very big blessing. Okay? So that means all these efforts that you have done in any direction is all very good. It will all give you punya. But what will Jnana Yajna do?
Give knowledge. And
It will
give insight.
Take you out of that punya.
Exactly. Right? It will totally take you out of this punya and papa. Sarva karma akhilam. Akhilam means totally. Partha jnane parisamapyate. Okay? This is the criteria. Otherwise you will say, oh, Lord Krishna is very partial. He is just saying that Jnana Yajna is the best. He is giving the reason why. Right? In one, you will continue what? The cycle of birth and death. You will be born in a more pleasant situation. You will be born in more conducive environment. Your life will be kind of less complicated than others. These are all manifestation of punya. If you are not born as a human being, then what? You can be born as what? Devatas in different lokas with even better bodies and better situations. But are you within samsara or not within samsara? You are, because your punya has taken you to what? To different lokas with different bodies and different situations. Those punyas are they infinite? No, the actions are finite, the results are finite. When those karmas are exhausted, what will happen? You have to give up that body and you have to give up that, and you are born again in some other thing. Okay? So that means your what? Jiva's journey continues on and on and on. The very fact that we are all born means that we haven't solved the problem of existence. Because we are born because of what? Punya and Papa. That means what? We have not solved. If you had solved the puzzle of life, then there is no, this is what we call moksha. After this body is gone, there is no reason left for you to come connected to only one body and experience that body's pains, pleasures and everything. That whole thing is over. Why? Because Jiva recognizes I am Parabrahma. I never perform any action. So therefore, this whole Punya Papa is closed for you. Okay? So therefore, the Jnana Yajna is the best Yajna because it totally releases you from what? The cycle of birth and death. Somebody can say, oh no, but that is not good because at least now I can come and I can act and I can do things and I can engage in things. Oh, if I'm not born. Okay? The birth and death cycle, they say, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, Dukkha, Doshano, Darshana. A human form born, birth is a pain. The child comes what? Crying. Okay? The death. Everybody, while they are alive, they are mortally afraid of what? Their death and then death of their loved ones. You never know who is going to go away when. This is what we call shocks. Okay? Then, between that birth and death, there is what? Old age, where what? All the capacity of your senses starts deteriorating, your mind and its faculties, its memories, everything starts deteriorating. And you have to go through all of that. Your body starts aching, pain. Now between, okay, then you can say, oh, now between birth and old age, I still have a great time. Vyadhi, diseases, all kinds of afflictions. I have, when I was living in Bangkok, all these, my colleagues, they would all, weekends, sometimes I ask, so what did you do on weekend? Oh, I went for my blood test and I went for my heart thing and everybody's in the hospital. All the very fancy hospitals, but each one is kind of trying to fix one part or the other. Okay, so this is what life is. Vyadhi. Something goes wrong, and then again what? Okay, human life. Then all the personal relationships and the afflictions, mental agonies, so many suffering. Right. So therefore, you think that human birth is for what? Enjoying, but in fact, our teacher used to say it's dukkha, 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 and then little bit of sukha. Then again, dukkha, 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 then little sukha. Okay? So this is what it is. Externally, people think, wow, they have fancy homes, they have nice cars, and then people think, oh, they are happy. They have fancy homes, true. They have nice cars, true. Okay? Therefore, they are happy, not true. Okay, so she knows very well. She is a psychologist, the kind of patients who come to her, she knows. Now, all of us know from our experience, right? So, this is where the Jnana Yajna is the best. And this is where one has to see one, this lunchtime when Neeru was talking about her friend and saying that she is such a good human being, and sometimes it reminded me of myself. And I always used to think that my father is so much better than me in so many ways. Okay? He was far more intelligent than me, I thought. He was far more giving, Okay, and he was far more noble person and always doing things for people, totally non-assuming, even though he was a very big executive. Totally, one would never imagine that this person has had such a success in his life. Totally humble person. So I said, why did this knowledge come to me and not to him? This was really my question. He deserves it so much more than I do. Okay? But the laws, in the laws of Ishvara, like that Monica was saying, I thought that my teacher should have got it. Why am I here? Hey, we don't know how the laws operate. Unless you deserve it, the knowledge will not come. Sometimes what happens is, all these punya that one has gathered gives oneself what? A relatively comfortable, happy life. And what is the danger? You're just happy living it. Yeah. You don't go further in your inquiry about what is the truth. Sometimes the pain what becomes a reason for you to what? Search. And because of that search, you discover what? Something much more. And this is why you cannot categorically say that the pain is all Papa. Ishvara's Gahana Karmano Gati. Either you can take, right, what situations happen in your life as Papa and go further and further down, or you can take every challenge, as what? Opportunity to grow. And that is again up to you. So there is no such thing, you cannot say, oh Papa for me. And this is why, what is also very important is, because the Deva Janma, where it is mostly what? Predominant punya. So they all have basically much less pain than human birth. Okay? But still, in the Shastra, they say human birth is a very precious birth. Why is human birth a very precious birth? They have much more challenges, they have much more sorrow than Deva Janma.
It gives you more chances to correct your punya equation.
Very true. Why? Your answer is absolutely right. Why?
Because of variety of interactions.
Exactly. Right? So as I said, that if you have too much punya, everything is too comfortable for you. When everything is too comfortable for you, then what? Exactly, there is no search, there is nothing, you just enjoy. Okay? So Deva Janma is far more comfortable, but as Savita says, it in the terms of the opportunity for moksha, human birth is far more considered to be very, very precious, because as a human being, you are born what? With a free will and with all the challenges. Because each one is a mixture of punya and papa. Nobody, no human being is only punya or only papa. Okay. So punya and papa means you'll have some pleasures and then some pain. Some pleasures, some pain. Okay. And the pain is, then there is a question. The human free will means you want to what? Apply yourself, question, get out of it. That means that keeps you, if you want to go, that keeps you going closer to this goal of moksha. Okay? So this is why they say that the human birth is meant for moksha. And if you use this birth not going for moksha, sometimes the very punya which is considered to be very good will what? Keep you away from the search. So who, Jnana-Karma-Sanyasa, who says who has a better life? If with little challenges you begin to question and you come to know all that is here is Ishvara, and somebody has had pleasant life and just living well, who has more punya? Who is making better use of one's life? Who is?
Human being.
No, two human beings. The seeker.
Seeker.
Okay, so this is where how life unfolds and how those challenges take you forward in your search is something which is a blessing, and one has to see it as a blessing. Okay? And this is where he says, Jnana Yajna, whoever comes to knowledge, even the starting in the life of a jiva, they say that in your sanchita karma, there are so many karmas, so many punya papas. Next birth, there is no rule that you will have some better and better and better births, because you could have totally messed up in this birth. You will have a much worse birth next time. Okay? But the minute you come to this knowledge, then what? Your life, what? Begins to be on track. Dharma comes in, understanding of Ishvara comes in, Prasada Buddhi comes in, the knowledge that all that is here comes in, even though the whole thing is not absolutely clear, you are blessed. You are taken so much forward towards realities, what is. And in fact, what many people have this question, that what if during this lifetime I don't get it totally? And Arjuna also had that question. He asks Lord Krishna, being the brilliant person that he was extremely bright. And he had Lord Krishna as his teacher. Who better than Lord Krishna himself? And still he asks Krishna that, what if I leave this world without totally understanding what you are telling me? Lord Krishna says, whoever has come to this knowledge, whoever has started this journey is blessed. Anything that is learned in this lifetime, what will happen? The person will carry it forward. Okay? That means all the sanchita karma for all different kinds of janmas will all be what? Put aside, and the combination will give you what? Certain janma where you will be again connected to this knowledge in one way or the other. Okay? You will hear this knowledge, and that will continue till the time that you gain the knowledge. And once the knowledge is gained, what happens? Whole karma, the whole game is over for the person. So therefore, Jnana-Yajna is the best among all other yajnas. But the other thing is, for Jnana-Yajna to work, you need all the other yajnas. You need to mature. But they in themselves are not enough for moksha. So that is the relationship. Okay. Then the next verse. So now, if knowledge is to be gained, how does one gain this knowledge? So the next verse is Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas-tattvadarshinaha. You can say, okay, the Upanishads have solution. They reveal the nature of Atma. Let me read the Upanishads. You read the Upanishads, you read the 12 verses of Mandukya, what will you understand? Okay, then you say, okay, now Upanishads are not enough, let me read Adi Shankaracharya's commentary. Then what will you understand?
Not even.
Not even hope. Then you said, okay, now let's go to Gaudapada and let's see what he has to say. And then, as Uddhav is saying, he goes on and on and on and on, right? So he doesn't stop. So that means this is what you try to study the Shastra on your own, and this is what happens. Okay? So here you need to go to a teacher. What kind of a teacher? Tattva-darshihi. Tattva-darshi means the person who sees the reality clearly, who is not going to confuse you further in your search, right? He's not going to give his own ideas and his own whatever. He's going to tell you what is in the Shastra, right? So now how do you know who is the Tattva-darshi? Will you go with a torch looking for a Tattva-darshi?
Ishvara will send them to you.
Exactly. You pray and Ishvara will send. Ishvara will connect. The job of connecting is through Ishvara. We don't even know who will come up. It is the arrangement of Ishvara. But you pray for what? You're wanting to be connected to the truth and the right teacher. The teacher will appear in your life. Okay, so this is what, and then some basic things. The basic thing is what they say, Kshotriya Brahmanishtaha. Kshotriya is what? The teacher has some minimum requirement that one can judge without anything, and that is what Kshotriya. Kshotriya is the person who has studied Shastra. Somebody who knows what Shastra is talking about, not that I was sitting under the tree and this knowledge dawned on me, so now you are this lost soul and I am going to enlighten you. Not that person. Okay? The person who has bothered to study what Upanishads are saying. Okay? And then the person from one's conduct, one can say that yeah, this person lives the truth in some ways. Okay? What is interesting is, in the retreat, when we give retreat, we ask for comments, for people to write comments. A lot of times, maybe 60 or 70% of the comments are about how we teach. The 30 or 40% of the comments are how we are. Means you think people are just listening to what you are saying. People are observing how you behave. Very much. Okay? So that means people are constantly assessing you. Right? You can be saying one thing and you can be acting totally differently. Okay? So in order for your words to carry some meaning, what? You have to be that person, what you talk. And this is why I think even Gandhiji, right? Everybody wanted freedom. How is one person able to move the whole nation? How is it possible? Move the whole nation in a way that people are just willing to sacrifice everything for freedom of India? Nothing of their personal gain. They would just give up everything.
And without phones and internet.
Like nothing. Create a whole national movement. How? Where people have to undergo a lot of sacrifice, lot of pain for this goal of freeing India from the British. How? He has that word of his has strength. What gives him that strength?
Because he's living that.
He's living that, right? That is what, this is again Ishvara's grace. Your words will carry certain weight if you live it. Otherwise it is what? Just one more verse ticked, next verse ticked. No. Okay? The words carry meaning when you live the vision. So this is what Tattva-darshi, to come in contact with Tattva-darshi is not an easy thing in this life. There are so many gurus, so many, and some are very famous. But to find the right person is grace, lot of grace.
When you say you pray and Ishvara will send the right teacher, is that relative?
Yeah, absolutely. What is needed for you at that given point in time, it could be that too. But every time one has to say that my commitment is to the truth. You have to say that. And I want to grow and I want to know the absolute reality. Because in between you have needs.
No, I know, but like you said, there are all kinds of teachers, some who are more famous, but they are not the right teachers, or they may not lead you purely or totally to the Shastras and the truth. So, but there are followers, there are people who are learning.
Yes.
So, does that mean also that there is, according to their search, their need, their punya, their this thing, they will get that kind of teacher?
That is very true. Because see, what happens is, you are absolutely right, Neeru. Because if your thing, because there are implicit priorities. In fact, not many people, actually pray for the truth. They don't say in this word.
Don't even know.
Exactly, right? So they are feeling discomfort and they are looking for some solution to get rid of that discomfort. Okay? So that means whoever they think will remove that discomfort as quickly as possible, right? That person I will be attracted to.
Is enough.
Is enough. For that person it is enough, and to this person I am attracted. But what will happen is, that is also Ishvara's order. Because you are holding on to what? Something which is not true. So initially you will be very attracted. Maybe in one lifetime you will be attracted. But in the next lifetime you will figure out that, hey, this is not really solving my problem, and hopefully you will move on. Okay? So this is how you move on in life. We all must have done hundreds of different things. All of us. Right? Before we come to Shastra. If you just know the history of every jiva, and for last 10 births, you will have very interesting stories. What all we have done and what all we have done. Where all we have gone. True. Okay? But in this life, the only thing I can do is first say that I am not just trying to get rid of my discomfort. What I want, that also to say that itself is a big step, Neeru.
To know it.
To know it.
But there's even beyond this removal of discomfort.
Little, exactly. So even to pray for the truth itself is what? You have reached a long way. Okay. And then ask for connection to the wise teacher, to the teacher who knows. And then while you are in the class, keep your reasoning on. Because your reasoning and listening to the teacher of how the person is showing you, how the person is substantiating, not just giving you concepts which are all up in the air. That will make you can see whether the person speaks and makes you see things or is just creating ideas. Okay? Tattva-darshinaha upadekshanti te gnanam. And then, in order to, now you find a Tattvadarshi. But now, you have to inspire that teacher to teach you. The teacher has no need. The teacher doesn't depend upon you. You depend upon your life, and your moksha depends upon the teacher. So that means you need to inspire the teacher. How does one inspire the teacher? The person inspires the teacher by pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Okay? By asking what? Here it says that doing namaskara. Namaskara is in the sense that you approach the teacher not with this sense of arrogance, with certain respect. Okay? Because from whoever, you go and learn, you learn music from somebody. You go and learn dance from somebody. Okay? This whole Guru Parampara that you see in India, it is very interesting. Okay? The Guru is whether it's music, Guruji is a big thing. You could be very rich and that Masterji can be living in a small little apartment, but when that music teacher comes, there is respect. Okay? So that is the mind which is willing to learn. The kings used to go to, we were talking about it, rishis. Rishis have simple homes in the forest. The king's kids princes, they live, go from a palace. Who has a bigger hand? Who has an upper hand? The rishis. Those princes, what? They stay with the guru. They do what? Little bit of work. They become members of that guru, rishi's family. They serve the whole family as their own. And in return, what happens? The rishis give them the knowledge. Okay? So certain amount of respect. The teacher does hold a position. The teacher knows something which is of value to you. You need to respect that. And even if the teacher doesn't demand any respect, for you to learn, you need to look up to somebody. Okay? So therefore, pranipatena pariprashnena. Okay? Now, respect does not mean that you just believe everything that the teacher says. There is question, pariprashnena. There are questions. Because what is being taught is so radically different from what you think. You are bound to have questions. But what are the questions? Pariprashnena sevaya. One has to be what? The manner in which one asks, the attitude with which one asks. Either you can be asking just to negate what the person is saying. Who is the loser? You are the loser. Right? Or you just kind of an arrogant, let me prove this wrong. And you can use your logic to whatever extent to just say, now this is, how? Prove to me. What? You have to first listen. Okay? So therefore, this Vedanta is, now I've started teaching in quite a bit people, and they all are so enthusiastic. Okay? So wherever they go, they are talking about this Vedanta. So they go to parties, they go to whatever, and they said, oh, now. So they talk about their lives and all, and they said, what is, then there is a curiosity. Oh, what is Vedanta? So then it's like how in a cocktail party, within 10 minutes, explain all that you have learned.
10 minutes, 1 minute.
Yeah, their attention is just kind of absolutely. Right? Their attention is already, who are these people and who's coming and who's going and who's wearing what, and in that, Vedanta, so what is it? Then, is there a time to talk about Vedanta? No. Okay. And is this the right disposition of the person? No. So that means the teacher assesses how the student is. The teacher has no need. But the student has to have the right attitude. Even to inspire teacher. In fact, the teaching relationship is such that it is a dialogue. And the extent to which the students participate and question inspires the teacher. It is also like musician, right? The musician is giving a concert. People have no knowledge about music. The musician will just perform and go. But imagine in the concert, there are people who understand the music. They appreciate the music. The musician is very sensitive to that. What will happen? The musician will come alive and give his best to that performance. It's almost natural because it's an interaction. Interaction means it's very dynamic. Okay? So that means through your alertness, through your application of mind, through your eagerness to understand, you inspire the teacher. Okay? And then the teacher gives one's best to make you understand. Okay? So these are some of the attitudes which are necessary to have proper teaching. A teaching which is brilliant teaching. Okay? So pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. It's just basic attitude towards helping. the helping does not, seva doesn't mean you have to do, massage to teacher's feet and then, wash that person's clothes, and all that is not necessary. Seva means what? The seva is an attitude where you see that the teacher has given you so much that there is no possible way in which you can repay. There is no payment that is sufficient to repay what you have received from the teacher. If you have received so much from somebody, giving becomes what? Natural. In whatever capacity, in whichever way. This is the attitude of seva. What you have received, you see the value of it. You don't just take it for granted. Okay? Seva happens naturally. Okay. Now, what happens to the wise person is reiterated in 35. Now let's say you go to a Tattvadarshi and you approach him with respect, with good questions, give back as much as you can to that person. Then what happens? Not that whole life you have to remain what?
Small.
Exactly. Any person to whom you go and whole life you are always small and that teacher is always big, what is going to be the thing? The teacher is the teacher who makes you big. Makes you so big that one day you will become a guru. This is how Shishya-student parampara continues. Okay? So that means that that person going to the right teacher, making right effort is what? Blessed with the knowledge. And then what happens? Yad Natva. Having known that, it doesn't mean that the student forever remains student. Right? So Yad Natva, having known this, what? Punar Moham Na Yasyasi Pandavaha. Having understood this reality, the person what? Doesn't become confused anymore. Yena bhutvanya sheshena drakshasyaatmanyathomayi. Okay? And you see all being in yourself and in me. Okay? Mai, Atmani and Mai. Look at this. Okay? Yena bhutanya sheshena. By this knowledge, what has happened? All the bhuta, asheshena, not leaving out anyone, you will see in Atma and in me. Means, who is me? In Ishvara. Okay? So therefore, do you need to? People very often ask this question, when I know this knowledge, okay, is it something that I have to keep telling myself, I'm Brahman, I'm awareness, I'm not this body, I'm not this mind? Is it something that you have to, is it based on your memory? This is something which is a very common question. I know this reality, but I cannot retain this reality. What is retaining this reality? Is it constantly in your active memory, I'm Brahman, I'm the awareness, is it? No. Like anything that you have understood. You've understood some 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. Do you have to constantly be, does it have to be in your constant memory? 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. You won't be able to do anything else.
It has to be like your own existence.
Yeah, you know it. That reality, once it is known, you can't be confused about it anymore. Okay? And what is the understanding? In me, all the bhutas, asheshena, nobody is left out. No physical, no subtle, no causal. Everything exists in what? In awareness. And that awareness is what? The truth of Ishvara too. Mai means Ishvare and Atmani means yourself. So I and Ishvara are one. wherever the mind goes, whichever form the mind sees, wherever my thought goes, whatever the next tomorrow is going to be, I can never, nothing can exist away from Atma, awareness, which is the truth of myself and the truth of Ishvara. This is what the person understands when the person goes to the right teacher. The person becomes what? From this small, struggling human being, what does the person discover? I am the truth of the whole universe. The person becomes big, limitlessly big. Doesn't always remain this small, helpless shishya. Okay? So this is what he says, that drakshas atmani yatha mani. Okay? Now, many times people think, oh yeah, this very saintly people will get this knowledge. For me, the person who is full of sins, how will I ever get this knowledge? And this is where Lord Krishna sees you in a totally different light. And he says in the next verse, okay, Api chedasi papebhyaha sarvebhyah papakruttamaha sarvadnana plavenaiva vrujinan santarishyasi. Okay, you chant after me. Api chedasi papebhyaha
Apichetasi papebhyaha
sarvebhyah papakruttamaha
sarvebhyah papakruttamaha
sarvajnana plavenaiva
sarvajnanaplavenaiva
vrujinan santarishyasi.
vrujinan santarishyasi.
It says, even if you are the worst sinner among all sinners, you will cross all sins with ease by the mere raft of knowledge. Okay? This is something which is very nice, because we at times have such a low self-image. Then this is why certain amount of nurturing is very, very, very good. Imagine you feel I am a failure. Imagine you think that I am not lovable. Imagine you think that I am no good or I cannot succeed. That kind of a mind who has self-opinion which is so low, will it understand I am limitless? You need to nourish yourself. You need to nurture yourself. Please don't regard it. This is something which is such a disservice. We think that if we have a good self-esteem, we are proud. No, there is a difference between having a good self-esteem and being proud. Good self-esteem is very necessary. Good self-image is very necessary. That's what makes you the person that people cannot just walk all over you and you draw your boundaries. You don't let people bully you. This is very important. Okay? But pride is what? Pride is something very different. What? I am the one who is intelligent, I am good looking, I am wealthy, others are all what? I have condescending attitude toward others. I want others to recognize me as a great person. This is pride. Self-image, very necessary. Pride, unnecessary. But both are not the same. Okay? One needs to have that proper self-image. If I myself say that I am a big papi, I am a sinner, I am no good, how can I deserve this big knowledge? What? I myself am caught in set of beliefs about myself which will not what? Make me gain this knowledge. So therefore, one has to take care, not only align oneself to dharma and all of that, that is very necessary, but in addition to that, work on one's self-image. Okay? Now, even if, let's say, the person has taken to a dharma and the person has really messed up in one's life, okay, even then, Lord Krishna says, there is no such thing called you are doomed forever. Anytime you can change. And you can change to be very big. And there is a story. Okay? The story is about the author of Ramayana, Valmiki. Okay? Valmiki started as what?
Serial killer.
Yeah, he was actually a lutara. Lutara means he was a theft. Huh?
Lutera.
Lutera. That's what we say in Gujarati, lutara. Lutera. Okay? Lutera means he used to live in the forest, and whoever passed that forest, that he would go and rob them. Okay? So now, one day, that is how he fed his family and his children. Okay? One day, Narada was passing by the forest, and Valmiki said, today somebody has come, let me go and rob this person. Okay? He goes to Narada and he says, give me everything that you have. Narada says, okay, I will give you what I have, but why are you doing that? What do you get by robbing me? Tell me. So Valmiki says, I'm doing it to support my family. I have my wife that I have to look after. I have my children. So whatever I take from you, what will I do? I will go and feed them with it. So Narada says, but you have other means of feeding your children. You don't need to steal from others to feed your children. You are a young man, you can do things, other more legitimate ways of feeding your family. Why do you want to why do you want to rob me? He says, no, I'm just doing it for family. In this forest, where will I find other means? Then he says, okay, now you go back home. I'm willing to give you all that I have. You go back home and you tell your wife that whenever I do a wrong action, which is that of a robbery or theft, I have to pay for it. Okay? Now since I'm doing this robbery for your sake, will you partake my papa? Go ask her. Valmiki, he said, sure, I'm doing it for them, they will partake, there is no problem. He says, go ask. He goes to his wife. I have been robbing people to feed you. Will you partake of my papa? Wife said, no chance. Okay, that's your problem. How you have what? Decided to feed us. I'm doing my housework, I'm doing my duties well. If you have robbed people, it's your problem. I'm not taking any of your papa. Okay. Then he goes to his children. He says, at least the children will be more sympathetic. Wife is always complaining. Okay. So then he goes to his children and asks, hey, I have been robbing people to feed you guys and look after you. So will you take my papa? The kid said, no. No way I'm going to take your papa. That's your responsibility. You could do it differently, and that you have to now deal with the choices that you have made. We are not taking any papa. That's when Valmiki realized that he thought he was all doing it for what? His children and his wife and his family's well-being. But actually, the wrong choices that you make, you have to pay for it. Nobody else is going to participate in it, even though they are beneficiary to it. Okay, so this is where he realizes. He says, my God, I have been given free will. I could choose some other way to support my family. And I cannot what? Avoid the consequences of the wrong choices I have made. And only I have to go through difficulties. Nobody else is going to go through difficulties. When he realized that, he goes to Narada and he says, my God, I don't want for my own sake, because I think that I'm doing it for the benefit of others, but all the papa will come to me and make my life miserable. So now you show me the way to transform myself. Narada says, you sit here and you do a japa. Mara, 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 Mara. Mara, Mara became what? Rama, 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 Rama. Valmiki got so absorbed in this Rama Nama Japa. When Narada was passing by again, there was what? A anthill. Within that anthill, there was this, from this anthill was coming out the voice. Rama, 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 Rama. Okay, this is where, and then Narada looked and he saw two eyes of Valmiki and the rest of the body was covered by anthill. Anthill?
Anthill.
You know this ants?
Ants. Are like little
Small ants.
Ants.
They will be
build
big
this.
ant.
Yeah. So he broke that anthill and came what? Came Valmiki. And he says, he's a transformed person now. Now he says, what do I do now? He says, write about the story of Rama, because of which you are now transformed. And he writes and he becomes what? The greatest Kavi. His depiction of Rama, his depiction of Bharata, all the characters in Ramayana, oh my God, what a beautiful story. Okay, so that means there is nobody who is a party. You can't label people, as I said, as criminals, as doomed. Life is dynamic. Things are not static. Anytime you make a choice to transform, Ishvara and its laws will be with you. And wherever you are, whatever you are doing, it will take you one step forward and one step forward and one step forward until the time that the journey is over. You have to use your free will and you have to ask for help through prayers. Okay? So here he says, please don't say, oh, this lifetime I will never get it. Why? Who says you will not get it? Why are you starting with such a low statement about yourself and your capacity to understand some basic realities? Start with, I will try my best and Ishvara's blessing will be with me. Okay. And in case it doesn't, I always have next lifetime. But I can do it. This is how one has to be. Okay? So this is what he says, no matter who that person is, what that person has done, the minute the person comes to this knowledge, the whole journey starts in a totally different direction. He says that the water which was falling down has now what? Changed the direction. And then it will go up and up and up. The entanglements, the confusions, the suffering will all start reducing. Okay. And clarity will emerge, with which your just day-to-day life will improve tremendously. Tremendously. Okay. And then soon you will recognize what is the truth about yourself. So this is what Lord Krishna is saying. Okay. So here he is explaining what happens to this person. Okay. Yathe dhamsi samedhognihi basmasat kurute Arjuna dana nisarva karmani basmasat kurute tatha. So you repeat after me. Yathe dhamsi samedhognihi
Yathe samidhognihi
basmasat kurute Arjuna
basmasat kurute Arjuna
Jnana-Karma-Sanyasa sarva karmani
Jnana-Karma-Sanyasa sarva karmani
basmasat kurute tatha.
basmasat kurute tatha.
Says, just as a well-lighted fire reduces wood to ashes, so too, Arjuna, the fire of knowledge reduces all actions to ashes. Okay? So that means the fire, initially, what happens? There is a huge wood, very tangible, very big. Okay? Initially, what do you use? A matchbox. A little matchbox to light a fire. Where does it start? It seems like this fire is so little and the wood is so big. When will this fire finish reducing this wood to ashes? But what happens? That little fire that you have lit at one place with a little matchbox and the wood is so huge, what will happen? Burn the whole thing in what? Minutes. You start with little bit of this knowledge. 2-day camp, 5-day camp, 10-day camp, weekly classes. Soon, the power of knowledge will be so much that all your ignorance, your confusion, your everything will be what? All destroyed, and clarity will emerge. More clarity, more understanding. More understanding, better attitudes. One will what? Reinforce the other till the time that you see the reality clearly. But you have to make that first step. And initially, when you light the fire, there is a wind. What will happen? The wind can extinguish the fire. But once the fire gains a certain strength, wind will what? It will become an accomplice in spreading the fire even more quickly. When you first start coming to Vedanta, it may think, oh my God, I just came, I wanted some simple solution about, how to be a better person, how to deal with my children, how to deal with my husband. I just want simple things in life. Now Vedanta is saying, I am the whole Brahman. What is all this? How is it related to my life? It's all very abstract. What will happen? That wind of doubt can extinguish the fire. But once you can tackle those doubts with a certain reasoning. What is the reasoning? How much of how I live depends upon what I understand about myself, what I understand about the world. What I understand about myself and what I understand about the world percolates what? Every decision that I make. And if I'm making some very fundamental errors about who I am and what is the nature of Ishvara, what is going to be my day-to-day living? Miserable, with suffering. Nobody can avoid it. Okay. So, understanding of these fundamental problems have direct implication on how you live in your life. Don't think that this inquiry into Brahman and all is not connected to your day-to-day living. It is very much connected because you, with your self-image of who you are and your understanding of who you are, transacts with the world and performs all the different actions, makes all the different choices. And imagine if the reality about you is you're limitless and you're operating with the understanding that I'm not even one little dot in the universe. What is the nature of distortion? Then you can say, yeah, but how will it change my life? Removing this distortion, what will it do to me? It cannot but percolate everything. Okay. So this is what he says, the wind of doubt has to be handled adequately. Once the doubts are gone, then what happens? The process of what? Understanding that knowledge, making necessary changes in your day-to-day living. Okay? All that will become exponential, multiplying effect. Okay? And knowledge will take place. Bhasmasat karute. All your karmas are all gone, destroyed. Okay? When this fire of knowledge is initially well taken care of. Okay. So this is what he says, Bhasmasat kurute Arjuna.
I wanted to ask one thing. When you come to this knowledge, for the karmas to get bhasma, you also need to understand the knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or just coming to
No,
knowledge.
not coming to karma.
When
What
you
I am saying that
understand it.
initially those doubts will come, right? But if you handle the doubt and you progress in your pursuit and you understand the reality, only then the karmas go. Otherwise they don't go. Only for a jnani, karmas go. For other person, the person gets better births because the punya, which is a spiritual punya, will come and give you a birth in a home where there is scholarship, or in a home where even your parents are wise people. So all that, the punya papa will continue until the knowledge takes place. That is what we call spiritual punya. There is a difference between a person who is born in a wealthy family and a person who is born in a scholarly family. Different type of punya. One is what? Just physical comfort. The other one is what? The parents with proper values, love for learning, okay? Cultivating, teaching right attitudes from the childhood. That is a huge punya. We don't see it as a punya. We think that, oh, that person may not be born in a very wealthy family. Different types of punyas. But Saraswati's blessing. This is where Lord Krishna also says, the person will be connected to this knowledge according to their punya. But what is the best punya? That you are born in a home of a jnani. When your parents, imagine your parents themselves know the reality. Rishis children. Rishis were not single people. Rishis were all married. And the kids grew up with wise people. Okay? So these are the advantages. But until the knowledge is not clear, punya papa applies. Only when Jnana-Agni means ultimately when the knowledge is totally understood, then only it is Bhasmasat Kurute. Okay? Nahi, okay, here he says, Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham Pavitramiha Vidyate Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhaha Kalena Manivindati. So, you repeat. Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham
Nahi Jnanena Sadrusham
Pavitramiha Vidyate
Pavitramya Vidyate
Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhaha
Tatsvayam Yoga Samsiddhaha
Kalena Manivindati.
Kalena Manivindati.
So here he says, in this world, there is indeed no purifier equivalent to knowledge. One who has in time attained preparedness through Karma Yoga naturally gains knowledge in the mind. Okay? So this next two, there are only 3 verses remaining. I think we will see it at night. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.